confused about what brushes you need for what, then I'm going to break all of that down for you in this video and make you a brush expert by the end of it. Hey guys, it's Cam and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do a video for you about brushes as part of my how to makeup series before we even get into the makeup, because a lot of the application really does depend on what brush you use, what quality of brush you use, and if you do have the right brush, a lot of the times it really does do all of the work for you. So I wanted to break down exactly what brushes I feel like are necessary if you're going to do any sort of makeup, and then break down some of my favorites for a little more advanced applications if that's something that you want to get into. So if you're excited to learn all about brushes, then go hit that thumbs up button for me because I'm going to show you everything that you need to know. And don't forget to subscribe because we're still just getting started in my how to makeup series, and I will be linking some of those videos up here for you so you can follow along and just kind of start bringing everything together. Alright, so without further ado, let's just jump right in. So the very first thing that you're going to need a brush for is applying your foundation. And you can really go one of two ways with this, but I recommend having both in your arsenal just in case, because they really do react differently with different foundations. And you may find that a brush works best for one type of foundation, and another foundation may need to be applied with a damp sponge to really spread it out, and it's just not really going to spread out well on your face with a brush. So the brush that I recommend is the Sigma 3D HD Kabuki brush. And this is just a really nice fluffy brush that doesn't really absorb product, and it does a really good job spreading it all throughout your face. And I really love the 3D design that they have here because you can get really nicely into the crevices of your face, or just kind of use like one of the corners and go underneath your eyes. And I really love these points. I know that they have a perfectly round flat one, and they have ones that point up actually, but this is my favorite shape. They do have a whole bunch in the Sigma line, and play with them, check them out. But for me, this one works the best for sure. And there's a lot of brands that do make really nice kabuki brushes for foundation application. You can get a Real Techniques one. It Cosmetics makes some really great ones, but Sigma's the only one that really does these interesting shapes that really go into the contours of your face really nicely. So that's why I recommend this one. And then of course, you're going to need a beauty sponge. And this is the Real Techniques complexion sponge, and as you can see, it's very well loved. I'm really bad at cleaning it, but I love this sponge. It's got a really interesting shape, so that way you can also work it into the contours of your face. But you can also use a beauty blender or the NYX sponge. There's really a lot of them out there, and I find that there's really not that much difference in the way that they apply makeup. So as long as you're using something like this that you can dampen and squeeze out, then you'll be fine. And this is really nice for just spreading that foundation out, especially on days when your skin is a little more dry and flaky. It really does add the moisture. But I'm going to go a lot more in depth in my video that's going to be all about foundation, which I'm also going to link up here for you. So in that video, I'm going to demonstrate the difference right on my face. But for now, just know that you're probably going to want a sponge and a brush for your makeup application. So I wanted to touch a little bit on stippling brushes, and I actually think that this was my first foray into foundation brushes, and it really wasn't my favorite. The idea is that you kind of like stipple it onto your face, and it's supposed to create an airbrushed effect, but it's very time consuming, and they do have bigger brushes than this, but still, I find that it's really hard, and then you're just really tempted to swirl it around, which kind of defeats the purpose. And another thing that I wanted to bring up is that this is an e.l.f. brush, and I don't recommend these because it's kind of already starting to like come apart here, and as you can see, I have a lot of wiggle room here, and I've even been able to pull it apart a couple times. So I really don't like e.l.f. brushes. I'm going to show you another one that I don't like, but as far as stipple brushes go and e.l.f. brushes go, I say pass. So pay attention to the quality of the brush because, for example, Real Techniques brushes, they're pretty cheap like e.l.f. brushes, but they're a lot sturdier. I've never had issues with them coming apart, and I own quite a few of them as well that I'm going to bring up in this video. So definitely pay attention to the quality of the brush, and for me, these are just so cheaply built, like, no. Now you're going to want something for under eye concealer, or perhaps for like the crevices of your nose where other things might be too big to get, or sometimes in the inner corner of your eye when you're trying to lay down your eye base or concealer. Then I recommend one of these two brushes. This one is the Sigma 3D HD Precision brush. And as you can see, it's got the same exact shape as the regular 3D HD Kabuki, but it's much smaller. And this is my preferred brush to like really get in right here where my nose is so big that I just have this divot, or right in my inner corner, which even with the sponge, like I won't be able to reach the inner corner. So I like to go in with this one, and you can also use it for under your eye. But this one's really good as well from Real Techniques, and it's a lot cheaper, and this is their Expert Concealer Brush. But I actually don't use this quite for that application. I do like to use it for a bunch of other techniques, which I'll tell you about in this video. Now once you have your foundation and concealer all blended nicely on your face, you're going to want to set it with some powder. And for that, you're going to need probably 2 different types of brushes. One would be a small setting brush, and this will really get like nicely under your eyes, around your nose in the crevices, on your eyelid. And then you're going to want a really big fluffy brush just to pat the powder all over your face with. So this is the setting brush by Real Techniques. And this is the brush that I use every day to set my eye area with. And this is the Real Techniques powder brush. Now as an alternative, if this one is a little too small for you to set your under eye or eye area with, I've also loved using the Sigma F35 brush for this. And this one as well goes really nicely under the eyes, over the eyes to set them, and you can get this in the contours of your face as well. But again, I kind of have different uses for this brush that I'm going to tell you about. Alright, now as far as bronzer and blush goes, a lot of the brushes for that are pretty interchangeable. So for example, this is the Sigma F10, and it says it's a powder blush brush. And I actually use this both for applying bronzer right here, because it does a really nice job of that, and you can go in with blush just right on top of that. But obviously you'll want to clean it between dipping it into your bronzer and your blush. Now for a cheaper alternative, I have the sculpting brush, and this one deposits a lot of pigment, so you want to be careful with it. In your blush application, they actually have a separate blush brush, and I'd probably recommend that one over this one for blush. But what I really like about the shape of this brush is that you can just lay it right here and get a really nice sculpted bronze. Or even go this way and you'll be able to blend out that bronzer like immediately. So this is also a really nice brush for bronzer. And so back to the Sigma F35 brush that you can use for setting around your eyes and small parts of your face. I actually have 2 of these because I like to use these for 2 different applications. And I obviously can't use them right after the other because they're complete opposites, which is contour and highlight. So I like this over fan brush for highlighting because I can just really go with the curve of my face and lay down that highlight exactly where I want it. And it's really the perfect shape for highlighting. You can use it straight up or at an angle, and because of the way that the bristles taper, it gives you a gorgeous blend either way you go. And so I have one of these just to highlight my face with, and the other one actually does a really good job contouring right here. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do that in my separate highlighting and contouring videos, which I'm going to link for you up here as well. But I really don't recommend a brush of this size to do a nose contour with if that's something that you want to do. So for that, I actually do use the Expert Concealer Brush from Real Techniques. And this is really nice because you can use this brush with both a cream contour and a powder contour if you want to. And I've been using it with my powder contour, so I can just really go on the edges, and it just places the contour really nicely, blends it at the same time, and does not disturb my foundation. Whereas I found that a larger brush like this definitely was disturbing my foundation. Also, this brush is really nice and fluffy, so that's why it also doesn't disturb your foundation. Now, I actually do have another one of these for going in with a cream or liquid highlight as well, because it's really nice for blending that out. Or you can use a stipple brush for that. That actually works really well too, but I don't recommend doing stippling for foundation unless you're really experienced, know what you're doing. That's your go-to method. But I still prefer kabuki for blending out foundation, just to touch on that topic again. And I actually do have this e.l.f. brush that is meant for a contour brush. A lot of people like to use this, kind of like the NARS Ita brush, just to do their contour. But I don't like the line brushes like these because I find that it just creates a really harsh line for your contour, and then it becomes harder to blend out. Even if you flip it on its side, it'll be really hard to blend out. So I don't like that brush for contouring. But also, this one has come apart very easily, and I've really only used it a couple times, and I think I washed it once. So again, that just goes to show you that I have not had the best experiences with e.l.f. brushes. I don't know if it's the design or what, but all my other brushes don't do that. Even if they're Sigma brushes where they have another separate piece like this, they just have always stayed put. And the Real Techniques ones, you really don't have to worry about that with. So we're all done with face brushes. That's really all that I feel like you need for whatever applications you're interested in doing. So let's move on to eye brushes. And the first 2 that I want to talk about are my Sigma E40 Tapered Blending Brush and then my Sigma E25 as well. So these are amazing for putting color in your crease. This one I recommend for going in with your very first transition shade. It's just going to give you a gorgeous wash of color. Also, if you feel like the edges of your blending just, no matter what you do, you can't blend them out, definitely try going in with this one, and this does the best job really diffusing your eyeshadow to where it just blends it into nothing. Now I recommend this for the higher transition shade. Now with this brush, you're really going to want to concentrate it a little lower, and this is also great for blending, but I recommend putting it lower than this first one because it's going to give you a much more concentrated deposit of color. And then the third brush that I think is an absolute necessity would just be a lid shading brush. And the one that I love is the Sigma E55 shading brush. So it's just a nice flat rounded brush, and you can definitely go in on your lid and then blend out a lid eyeshadow with this. It does a really nice job of blending out your lid shade into that transition color. So I think that these three brushes are an absolute must. Now, if you don't want to go with Sigma brushes, then Real Techniques does have eye kits that do give you a lid shading brush and some crease brushes. So if you just want to pick up a Real Techniques eye brush kit, then you can definitely do that because it's a great affordable option. Now I'm going to talk about some more specialized eye brushes. So if that's really all you want to do is light crease color and lid color, then those brushes will work for you. But there's a lot more that you can do with your eye looks, and so I just want to touch on those really quickly as well. So another brush that I think is really important to have is a kind of like flat angled brush like this. And you can use these for a lot of different applications. You can stamp eyeshadow under your eye really close to the lash line with them. You can use powder eyeshadow to line the top lash line. Or if you have a small enough brush, like my Sigma E65, then you can actually dip this into like a cream eyeliner product and use this to draw on your eyeliner or a wing. And that's a really great option as well for if you're new to doing wings. But I'm gonna demonstrate that in my video on wing liner, which I'm gonna link for you up here. So we'll talk more about that then. And so this brush was the Morphe M165 brush. And as you can see, this one's a little bit thicker and wider than the Sigma one. So this one's really better for like powder shadows, like on the lower lash line or on top. And this one's gonna be better if you wanna use it with a cream eyeliner. Also, I really like using a small angled brush like this to carve out the top of a cut crease, which I will show you in a bunch of videos that I'm gonna do on cut creases. But I do recommend with going something pretty small like this so you can get a lot of precision in that, because cut creases you need a really steady hand with. And so touching on the lower lash line again, I really love using the Sigma E20 short shader brush because it's just really nice, short, it's got a stiff tip, and you can just go in under your lash line and smoke out that transition color and just really get a nice smoky eye effect with this. Now you can also use the Sigma E30 pencil brush for this as well. So I also like to use this to carve out my crease sometimes for like lower eyeshadow application right here and to smoke out my bottom lash line. So this is a great universal brush. As a bonus, and transitioning into the next part of our eyeshadow brushes, you can also use this to do inner corner highlighting and for your brow bone. I've seen a lot of people use this for that. Now I personally don't, because I have another brush for that, and that's the Sigma E47 brush. And I have a little mini one here, and I just like this kind of slightly fuller shape better for that, and it really helps me get in the inner corner, but it's also a little broader, so it's really nice for getting that brow bone highlight done as well. And so getting into the last brush that you're gonna need for some more fancy eyeshadow techniques, and that is a cut crease brush. So what I personally use is the Sigma E62 cut crease brush. And this is because I have hooded eyes and really large lid space, so this brush is big enough to where it really helps me with that. And what you're gonna wanna do with this one, because it's a little bit thicker, is really try to like smooth out the top so that it's as flat as you can get it. And then obviously it's a really nice shape to just draw your cut crease with. Now if you want something smaller, a lot of people do use the Sigma 05 lip brush. And I have the really nice one with a cover for it that I can't get on right now. So I like to put this in my purse, and I actually do use this one mostly for lips because I have a lot of lipsticks that are just like flat on top, or I'm like scooping out with this brush because they're so used up. So I do use this for lips a lot. But a lot of people use this because it's super nice, flat, and works well with the cream concealer to actually carve out their crease. So again, a lot of these brushes are very multi-purpose. It really depends on what just feels the easiest for you to use and what suits different sizes and face shapes, because I, for example, have very large lid space, so I need to use a lot of larger eye brushes. But I hope that I was just able to clarify some of the differentiation between brushes, which ones I think work the best for certain applications, and again, which ones I would really pass on. And just really quickly, as for what brushes you can use with just powders or which ones you can use with cream and liquid products, because there is a differentiation there, just really simply look at the manufacturer's information on the specific brush that you're looking for. Because for example, I know that on the back of every Real Techniques packaging, it does tell you whether you can use it for just powder or for cream or liquid as well. And so just to avoid confusion and not go into it any deeper, just check for that and you'll be fine. So depending upon what type of makeup application you want to do, whether you just want to do some foundation with blush and just skip eye makeup altogether, or whether you want to do the whole shebang, just pick and choose which brushes you really feel like you're going to use. And if you do want to get a complete kit, like from Sigma for example, then you can definitely do that if you feel like you just want to do every possible makeup application there is. But again, if you're just looking for something really simple, then Real Techniques does have like a face kit, an eye kit, and they're color coordinated and they're really cheap, and those are just really good quality brushes. So if you don't want to get super advanced, then you'll definitely find everything you need in those kits. So I hope this video was helpful, and if you feel like it was, then please hit that thumbs down. I'm done. Okay. So please hit that thumbs up button below for me. And just leave me a comment if you have any further questions about brushes, or if you're looking at a specific one and you're not sure how you would use it, then definitely leave me a comment. And of course subscribe, because we haven't even gotten to really applying makeup yet. And I have so much to do in this how-to makeup series, so you definitely want to subscribe and make sure you stay tuned for those videos. And I'll also be linking them up here for you. And if you're still sticking around, here's 2 more videos by me that you can check out. And then if you haven't already, click on my face right here, and it'll subscribe you to my channel so that you don't miss out on my videos. That's it. I love you so much, and thanks for watching.